Okay, it's 4 minutes after 9. I'll call the meeting to order for February 20th of the Carroll County Commissioners. Item for public input. Anybody? Anybody have any public input? Everything's quiet?
I'll just say that
I didn't mean to put you on a...
No. The Friends of Mountain View are not holding a meeting today. We're going to reschedule it to next week because half our board has got issues. So we'll meet next week on Wednesday at 1 p.m.
Okay, good.
I think I will. So.
Yes, go ahead.
Joe Rockenbrod again,
Yep.
Ossipee. Is it my understanding that in previous meetings that there was talk about closing down the county farm operation due to...
Not from us.
Oh, I hope not, because certainly we try to reduce as much of that dependency on outside sources for helping the community and to encourage people in the community to participate in the county farm, because certainly it'd be a help to them all.
I agree.
Anything to further that cause, I think, would be detrimental to everybody's survival and upcoming economic, things that are going on economically. Okay? Thank you.
You want to comment?
Yeah.
Yes.
John, why don't you come to the delegation meeting on Friday and tell them that, because there's a whole bunch of us that want to see the farm not only stay open, but increase its productivity.
Yes.
And we need citizens to come in and tell the
I'd be happy
delegation
to.
that
On Friday?
yes.
Friday.
Where is that being held?
Starts at 9 o'clock. It's a delegation meeting.
Okay.
They changed it from a Monday to a Friday
Really?
for some reason. Yeah.
Won't be able to
And they will be looking at a budget and probably having, I would guess, I don't see their agenda, but I would guess that their subcommittees would be reporting. And I know we've had some challenging discussions regarding the wood processor that
Okay.
brings in money through the farm. And I've gone through a lot of stuff over the weekend, looking at the farm budget, and not the farm budget, but the cost of the wood processor.
Yeah.
Some of the delegation members feel that, based on the knowledge that they have now, that it would not be in the best interest of the county taxpayers to purchase a wood processor at this time. Should our current processor go down, break down, and can't be fixed, we would lose an income of roughly $40,000. My figures would show that at the minimum, payback for a new wood processor would be 5 years. However, that wood processor is a commercial one, more so than one we presently have. The present one is about 10 years old, 10 or 12 years old. And I would expect to get 10, 15 years out of a commercial one. The farm, we'll probably talk about it when Will gets here. But the subcommittee, they didn't take a vote on it, but they discussed it and felt that, I believe, I'm talking out of school now maybe, but I think they questioned the value of having it and the payback time. To me, I think it's a good investment, and the payback is about 5 years out of the wood that we make and process. The current one, we're having a lot of breakdowns on it. Like I said, it's not a commercial one. We paid $18,000 for it about 10 or 12 years ago. It's done its fair share of work, that's for sure. The big thing about the new one is it would reduce or increase the efficiency.
And reduce the...
Right now we have at least 2 paid employees, plus I think he said 4 or 6 inmates that are working on it. The new processor would take 1 person, maybe not any inmates. But anyway.
That's a great prospect of, a yearly potential for income.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I appreciate the...
I mean, the farm is trying to break even.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make the operation more efficient.
Okay.
It'd be time savings with this new one. I think the question that the subcommittee is raising is that we don't use it all the time. It's only during the times when the haying is not being done or the plowing is not being done, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So to me, I shouldn't say it's a fill-in, but it really is. When nothing else is going on, that can be going on with inmates
Yeah, you spread the
stacking and so
around
forth.
for whatever's necessary to get it done.
Yeah, right. So Commissioner Babson makes a good point. Come Friday if you can.
I'd like to, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else got any comments?
Just a clarification, the amount that they were asking for the wood splitter? I mean, for
The current one, not saying that's the one, he's looking for 65,000. We have almost 10,000 in capital reserve towards it, so we'd have to come up with $55,000.
Less whatever we sell the one we have now for.
Yeah.
right, and your anticipation was 5 years, so it's going to generate about $14,000 a year?
My figures, and I've worked in all different ways, I come up with $12,542.
Right.
However, that's by buying in log length wood. If we took the wood off our own property, you could increase that by another 10,000.
Right.
Including paying for a logger to come in and do it. So, and we're hoping that we would have a contract for a logging operation coming up fairly quickly.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
I
Yes.
just wanted to mention that the folks from Kronos have to reschedule. They're not going to be here this morning.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
That's on the agenda. Yeah, it's canceled. Okay. Okay, anybody else? Ed? Go ahead.
About the farm, what I would like to see is brought to the delegation a cost-benefit analysis of the taxes that are charged to the county residents
Mm-hmm.
and how much the farm is actually offsetting taxes. And does it make sense? I'd like to prove it
Yeah.
with numbers. Does it make sense to actually make people pay taxes to support a farm to help with taxes? To actually see that, I
Right,
think would be
right.
a good idea.
I think, to me, the problem, maybe it's not a problem with the farm, but they don't get the credit that they should get. They're responsible for the water, responsible for the sewer. Whether they're getting a fair share of the cost to snowplow, the cost to mow the lawns, and any other things that go wrong outside. They're responsible for the generators, and a whole lot of other things that I've listed and I put on Commissioner Babson's desk just to look at, was an outline of the farm and all the things that they're responsible for. And I've titled it maintenance and put farm under maintenance, water under maintenance, sewer under maintenance, and any outside things like the generators, and a whole lot of things that try to organize a little bit better. And then we can go back and look and say, hey, they're spending so many hours here at the administration building, shoveling sidewalks, mowing lawns. Are they really getting the true value, the true credit for what they do? And so you're right, it needs to be analyzed. And the other thing we can't put a finger on is the inmate labor. I'm sure it's an education to those inmates, number one. I'm sure that they like to get out of there, out of the facilities, to get out and get some fresh air. I can't think of the third one now right offhand. But there's a benefit to them getting out. They get good time for it. And I know what it is. You know, the more you exercise inmates, the less problems you have during nighttime in the jail itself, in the facility. They need to use their energy to good advantage, and that's what we try to do with that. So there's a value to that too, I suppose. So there's a lot of things that it's a lot of things that you don't know what takes place in the future. It's like evaluating a school teacher. You hope that they pass the test, they go on to college, but you never follow up with it as to what those kids have accomplished as a result of a good teacher. So there's a lot of things that you can't put your hand on it or your fingers on it as to the benefit of what the farm does do.
Follow up.
Yeah, go ahead.
In the past, was the county farm attempted to be rolled into the jail?
Rolled into the jail?
Yes, like did the jail ever wish to take it over or to use it as
At
rehabilitation?
one time, the jail did do it. The superintendent of the jail was responsible to the farm. It was during my time, and I can't remember why it got switched over to have a superintendent. Whether the superintendent of the jail at that time, it wasn't Jason. I don't recall why it was changed over, but it was to the benefit. He had enough to do with taking care of the inmates in the jail facility without knowing too much about the farm operation. He wasn't a farmer. He didn't know forestry. And so we got somebody that did. So that's all I can say. Years ago, it was controlled by the superintendent of the jail. During the Whiting times and during Dennis Robinson's term also.
My last statement is that area farmers should be convinced or told how the county farm does not or does affect their livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't, then there shouldn't be a public perception that the county farm is affecting it. So there is a perception that farmers are competing with you, with the county.
Yeah.
So that needs to be addressed.
Yep. Go ahead, Commissioner Patrick.
And where is this perception coming from? What product? Wood, hay?
Wood's one, definitely one is wood. Because there are local wood processors that would love to give the campgrounds wood and provide tri-cap with wood, and they could make money on that, and you're doing it instead of them. So they do feel that way.
My answer to that is, we didn't start doing it till 3 years ago. Why didn't they go out and get it? Why do they wait for us to make it a successful business and then say, okay, you're taking our business? They've got 2 feet in their car. They could have gone and looked for the campwood business. I sell a lot of hay, and I don't see this place competing against me. I sell all I can get rid of.
Well, perhaps because you're doing it, it has spurred the thought of doing more business. So you may have helped. But that is the perception, and to answer that would help.
So do you believe that because we're now in the bag business and we're generating revenue that the taxpayer doesn't have to pay for when all's said and done? That because these people are just finding out that there's a good deal, that we should step aside and say, okay, now you take it over?
Well, it doesn't matter what my perception is. I'm bringing to you the perception of the public who is not here, who is watching, who has not been watching in the past. That was the other problem, is there was never any video in these meetings. So unless the newspaper was reporting on it, there was no way really for the public to know in intimate detail what was going on up here. But that's starting to change, so there are people getting involved, so that's a good thing. But that's why it's important for you as commissioners to be very mindful of that, of the perceptions, get feedback on it, and then answer some of the questions, because you may be right and you may be wrong. But since we're supposed to debate these issues, you should be able to prove to the local farmer and the local wood processing person that you're not a threat to their livelihood.
Two other quick comments would be that the prices that we charge are equal to the ongoing rate. We're not undercutting anybody, and we are trying to get out of the so-called homeowner firewood. We're getting more into the camp firewood with the state parks. To us, it's a good thing for us to be in, and it's a good thing the state parks are receiving our firewood, which probably, if it was done privately, it would cost the state parks more, which costs the state budget more, and on and on and on. Those are just comments that I see as a benefit of us staying in the camp firewood. But you're right, there's a lot of firewood people out there that are selling household firewood, and we're trying to reduce that amount and let those people take over that.
One free market principle is supply, and since you're adding supply, that does affect
Yeah.
the people out there, so.
And I also think that the way the economy is, anybody that's got a wood lot are out there cutting wood to try to sell firewood to make up for their losses, whether they're unemployed or their hourly wage was reduced or whatever, hours reduced. So I think when the economy is bad, then people tend to look at their own wood lot and do some cutting and marketing of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? Yes, Melissa?
Just for clarification, did you agree or not agree that a cost analysis is a good idea for the farm?
Oh, I think it is, sure.
Because we've heard
And
it.
I would think that the delegation is going to have this performance audit. They're budgeting $40,000 for that. Hopefully, the farm would be looked at for efficiencies. Hopefully, our office downstairs will be made more efficient as a result of that audit. There's a lot of places on the complex that we need some outsider to come in and look at it. So I think it's a good thing.
I think we've heard it, other than just Mr. Camo, I think we've heard it at delegation subcommittees and the delegation as a whole, that they're interested in nailing down exactly what the farm does and what income they have, and if that's offsetting itself or the impact it's having. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
The other comment I would make, I'd like to see some of the delegation members visit the farm and see what they do. They are responsible for the operation here as well as the commissioners. And if they don't understand what's going on, we try to do the best we can, but they need to attend some of these things and see what's happening. So I would encourage any delegation member to come in anytime and see what's going on, and not just a delegation meeting. Anybody else? Janice?
Melissa Siemens sent me an email on the 19th asking that I bring this forward in the regular public session,
Okay.
requesting a copy of the findings of the grievance filed by Barbara Woodburn in May of 2011. She stated, "I understand as in the past this request may be denied on personnel privacy rules. I would argue, however, that Ms. Woodburn filed the grievance publicly, and further names and other sensitive information that could be used to identify other parties involved beyond Ms. Woodburn and the county commissioners could be redacted." But I believe the commissioners have said it's based upon the legal aspect of it, the attorney work product as opposed to privacy, correct?
Right.
But she did ask that I bring this forward for a vote of the board.
I respect her request, but I have stated many times that that a lot of the grievances and the studies that have been done, it's written right in the grievance that both parties agree that this would not be released to the public. So if we do that, then we would be picking up the attorney's fees. We would be picking up the court fines or whatever happens. And one of my jobs as a commissioner is to protect the county from any legalities that may come up, and so it doesn't cost the taxpayers money, additional money. That's my answer, and I stand by it, okay? I don't know how the other commissioners feel about it, but...
It is internal practices and is exempt by law.
Anybody else for public comment? All right, last one, go ahead.
Could you just explain, I believe you're working on a new policy that if anyone brings forth a grievance publicly, it has to stay public throughout the process. Can you explain that policy that you're working on, or that you had considered?
You want to make a comment on that?
Oh, I don't know that we've been working on it. I have suggested, Melissa, I don't think this board's been working on it, but I have suggested when an individual comes in here and and reads a 5-page grievance, and that he wants it done and open, and he lambasts the commissioners, and continues to say he wants it an open meeting, and then the day of the open meeting, he turns around and says, oh, I've decided after talking to a lawyer that I want to keep it non-public. That's not right. Either you open it up to begin with and you go all the way through with it, or you start non-public and you end non-public. And yes, if we have some discussion, I'd like to see a policy that says that if you come in here and you want an open public meeting, you sign a paper that you agree to keep it open. If you don't want it open, then fine, you have a non-public session.
Go ahead.
I have given that some thought, and I think that's something that we should probably run past legal counsel.
Yeah.
Because I think it's the employee's right to determine, even midstream, that it goes non-public at that point. So I'd just like to get clarification before we put that in writing.
I believe they can file the grievance public. They can go in public to do the grievance, but the investigation, I don't think you can release that.
As a question that we can ask the attorneys that are going to be at our New Hampshire Association of County monthly meeting on Friday, the 1st of March. That's something that we can ask. They're coming in to talk about labor relations and so forth. So that's a good question that we can bring up. All right, I think it's time that we go into our regular meeting. And Jerry Gagney, our administrator here in the administration building. Good morning. Who's responsible for the maintenance and the care of this building. You had a couple of concerns, one regarding the boilers, and the other concern that the board had was regarding, have we done everything that we agreed to do regarding energy with sensors and so forth? Did that finally get completed or not?
The boilers, I've gotten different opinions on the boilers as to efficiency, and as efficient, you could look into a more efficient boiler. These boilers are very dependable. I've never had any problems with them out of the ordinary. They're very, very dependable, and they're good boilers. But you could get a more efficient boiler. A lot more efficient than those? I don't believe so. Now that I've talked to Bob too, and he seems to lean towards that. We need to look at their life expectancy. They're pushing 17 years old.
Yeah.
That would be a reason to think about repair to replace them. But efficiency-wise?
Yeah. The only thing that we've done that I'm knowledgeable about is I think we replaced the motor on one or two of them.
Oh, we replaced circulator pumps, and I have,
Yep.
Preventive maintenance. I've replaced the burners on those twice since I've been here. I've had someone replace them.
Yep.
Things like that, but that's all normal
Maintenance.
wear and tear on the boilers to keep them up and running, right?
Okay.
Sensors for rooms and stuff like that. There's a handful of rooms that could use a sensor at the time. I remember, I'm not sure if I remember correctly, but it was the placement of the switch compared to where they sit, so if it doesn't sense them, it shuts off.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the offices weren't occupied. At the time, there were some people who didn't want a sensor, so I respected that. But now, that was a couple years ago, going on. We could look into we could revisit that. We might be able to add a few sensors, and I wouldn't have to hire someone to come and do it. I could do it myself and just buy the sensors online or something.
Would you cost out what those sensors are and see if it would be of value to doing it for here?
Sure.
I know that study that was done apparently put that in there, that we could become more efficient on energy. So.
Well, a lot of the rooms do have. We got a lot of sensors throughout the building. Off the top of my head, I don't know the exact number. But and then with the new control system and everything, this building is we've turned it around for efficiency wise. It's very efficient now.
Good. So. I know sometimes this sensor goes off while we're in non-public, and so we're left in the dark, but that may be good in some cases.
Yeah,
that might not be because of the lights.
But other than a few more sensors, and look into the boilers for a future to replace as they get as they're aging, the time's coming. Other than that, I really, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything.
Okay.
So we've gone through everything pretty well.
Okay. I'd like to talk about and I've mentioned it to you several times, that you do an excellent job in this building and keeping it clean. I know it's a problem in the wintertime when they're putting stuff on the sidewalks and it's tracked in, but you seem to keep ahead of it and I continue to enjoy walking in the building and seeing nice clean floors and nice clean bathrooms too.
Thank you. I try to stay on top of it.
Jerry, I was the one that talked to David after we had the discussion, and I would say you just do a superb job, if not excellent, even better. Would it be possible for you to put together a list of how many sensors we need?
Yes.
We're not ready to replace a boiler, but the sensors we may be. You led me to believe that there's a few that we could change, and it might reduce our costs here.
It could help some, yeah. I just want to bring up that the windows in this building were replaced, I think it's right around 10 years ago too, so efficiency-wise for insulation and stuff, they're not old windows, so that's something else we don't need to worry about in the near future for efficiency.
Do we have a maintenance contract on the boilers?
We have a client, we have someone coming service them.
Okay.
How
Is that-
old are the boilers again? No,
They're pushing, they're going on 17.
17, okay.
Is the maintenance on an on-call basis, or do you have a contract?
No, I call
He comes in here
I
and...
call him. I pay him out of the services and fees, and, but I call to schedule
Okay.
the appointments.
Any further questions? All right, thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry. You're doing an excellent job.
Thank you.
Okay, Bob. Bob is our maintenance person over at the new facility,
Good morning.
community nursing home. And a couple of things I think we were looking for is, one, the moving of the thermostats, and also where do we stand on the rug that had been replaced probably at least 3 times? That's in the dining area. You might comment on those?
Sure. The thermostats that I'd requested to have moved were moved. I haven't personally seen a bill for them, and I've checked with Kathy downstairs, and she's got no record of paying anything. So where that bill is right now, I don't know, and I know that we haven't paid it. That's about all I can tell you. The thermostats have been moved, and they seem to be working much better in their new location. As far as the carpet, we settled, yes.
Who moved them, Bob?
Control Technologies.
Would it be...
Control Technologies is the control manufacturer installer that does the HVAC control system.
Would it be wise to call them out and find out, or remind them that they haven't billed us, or ask them, or...
Sure.
Sure. Just let it go?
No, it'd be nice to know.
I want to make sure we didn't pay for it.
No, it'd be nice to know the status.
The job.
Regardless of what the status is, it'd be nice to know what it is. But as far as the administration, the billing, you know, once that bill hits this building, I don't see it ever again. That's why I can't really.
The other commissioners agree. Could you find it with me? Could you find out what the bill is or where it is?
Yeah, I can do more research.
$900, wasn't it?
It was under 1,000.
Yeah.
But not by much.
No.
How many thermostats did they remove?
4.
4, okay.
They were on the first floor.
And was it there? Which floor?
They were
All on the first floor?
All on the first floor, one in each household.
Okay.
Okay, carpet?
Carpeting, we have settled with the carpet company. They made an offer. We rejected, counter-offered. They accepted. So that acceptance letter has been sent off to the carpet company, and it's in their hands at the moment. The replacement carpet for the hallway, they're supposed to be manufacturing in the first week of March, but I'll believe that when I see it. But as far as where the money is, the $8,000 that we're going to get back from the carpet company is the settlement. I tried contacting them this morning, and I was unable to get an answer. But we do have a signed letter that's been agreed upon. So we'll be getting it at some point.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell us about the Mountain View nursing home?
Well, that
Maybe.
$8,000 that we're getting back, we'd like to make sure that, I realize the money has to come back to the county, but we'd like to make sure that that money gets earmarked for resident use some way, somehow. We've got a couple of ideas in mind, and with the commission's permission or the delegation's permission, we'd like to go forward with dedicating that money to some resident use.
And
You
what
have
is-
in your budget a new piece of equipment to take care of those rugs, right?
Well, yeah, but I don't want to dedicate that money to a piece of
I
carpet
didn't say
equipment.
that, but I said you do have for a piece of equipment to
Yes.
maintain those.
Yeah, an
Okay.
additional carpet cleaner I put in my budget, yes.
So what is
Okay.
the sample for resident use? Can you be
For
more
example,
specific?
our Administrator Howie was talking to me this morning about some kind of a sound system. We have an amplifier and a couple of speakers that we move around, but I think he's looking at some kind of a permanent sound system for the multi-purpose room. As you folks are well aware, that the acoustics in there are horrible. We'd also like to possibly spend some money on improving the acoustics in the room.
Especially that room off the
Yeah, especially
large
the
dining
smaller
room.
side. You know as well as I do that even those of us with better hearing have a hard time hearing in that room, and a lot of the residents really can't hear very well because the acoustics are horrible.
Yeah.
So we'd like to do something about that.
Okay.
I know that there are some resident ceiling lifts in the budget. Maybe we could buy a couple of extra lifts with some of that money. These are just some examples. We don't have anything pinpointed, but we'd like to use it for resident use,
Mhm.
some way,
Okay.
somehow.
Any further questions from the board?
Not for me.
Tasha?
No, Bob is doing an excellent job too.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the recognition.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Will, next on the agenda?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't
You said Howie was coming over, right?
have too much for the commissioners.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
10 o'clock.
Shall I ask?
Yeah. Janice, would you ask Howie to come at 10?
Thank you.
Just had a few things for the commissioners. For the most part, almost all of last week was spent still cleaning up from the storm we had the weekend before. By the time we do all the plowing in the outlying areas that we have on the farm, it takes quite a while to accomplish all that, push snowbanks back and such. We delivered out a load of emergency wood last week. We're pretty much out of the emergency wood now. I have an order and I can take regular orders as long as I'm given time to be able to, on the nice days to go out and process it up and deliver it out. But as far as our stockpile of emergency wood, that's pretty much come to an end. Last week's was about the last of that. We got a load of hay going out this week, and we've still been bagging wood a few times a week. In between the storms and when we get the warmer days, we had a few days last week that were nice weather. We had guys out bagging. So that's pretty much been what we've done the last week or so. I had copies for the commissioners on some information you requested, Commissioner Sorensen, on the hourly rates.
Oh, okay.
I updated the date on the corner of today's date, but the only thing I really changed on this whole sheet was Joe's name from the previous employee we had there.
Right.
Other than that, I haven't adjusted any hourly rates. So it's been, when I changed the date, that was February 2010, the last time we updated this. So it's going on about 3 years. And that's been the standard numbers that we've had.
Okay. What Will is talking about, I had asked him if he'd put together the hourly rates that he charges the different buildings for the different operations that he does, like mowing lawns, like doing snow plowing and so forth, what it costs for the person to be over here doing it, what kind of equipment it's used for, and so on. He's even included what pay each of the people that work at the farm, gets paid per hour. I think this is something that the delegation is looking for also, but we'll wait and see what they talk about on Friday.
Okay.
I called you on Saturday, I guess, regarding trying to put together some figures for the firewood department. At some point in time, we need to go over this information. I'm not sure I've got it all right, but it looks like the profit was around 12,000. Delegation, when we talked about it, I think it was around 9.
I think it was lower than that.
I think they were trying to say
Lower than that?
2,500 that
Yeah,
day.
2,500, I think they were going to say.
Yeah.
Well, we knew something was wrong, and I got to believe that we make more than that, but those are the figures I had, so I'd have to talk it over with you, and Commissioner Babson's responsible for the farm, so I haven't had a chance to talk it over with him either. But the question came up this morning regarding an individual here that may have heard a rumor that we're trying to terminate the farm, I guess is no other way of explaining it, but I think the Board of Commissioners definitely want to keep the farm going. And we want to make it more efficient, which you're trying to do, and that we
Generate more revenue.
generate more revenue, but by getting rid of the firewood to homeowners and going more into the bagged firewood, that's the direction that we're going in, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. You had a comment?
I was going to ask, Will, do you on the work and supervisor, are these rates including benefits, or is that just straight?
Yes, we don't make that much money an hour.
I kind of thought that, that's why I asked the question.
Right.
So
Make-
this
make
includes,
my salary
this
look
is,
a little bit better if I did,
this is
but no, I
total
don't.
hourly cost.
Right.
Okay.
I haven't really changed though since I've been here. That's kind of, as far as those top 4 that you're looking at, that's what I've went off of since before my time on those. What I've adjusted since I've been here was the amount that we charge for using the backhoe. A few years ago I did some research on if a local person came in with a piece of equipment like that, what they would charge. That's where I've updated it. But those top 4 numbers have basically been, they were set prior to my time. I haven't changed those.
It wasn't too many years ago, we were charging $20 an hour for the backhoe and the man,
That's what I heard prior to my time.
not too long ago.
Right.
And that's why the farm was running at such a deficit,
Right.
or one of the reasons.
Okay, anybody else got any questions of Will? Anybody from the public have any questions regarding the farm? Okay. You're in the process of hiring a person, and how
Yes.
far along are you on that?
Just was notified by HR that there's a few applications over there, so on my way out here, that's where my next stop is to see where we're
Okay.
at with that.
Okay.
Was it a full-time person?
Yes, ma'am.
hired?
Yes, ma'am.
Basically, we have 3 full-time people and 1 part-time person. That part-time person, he's on call, or is there certain hours that he works?
He's pretty flexible. I try to keep him, if we can, I try to keep him 3 to 4 days a week. But sometimes that 3 to 4 days a week can change. You know, I try to have him off on Fridays if I can, but if we need him on Friday, then he's here and he'll be off on a Monday or whatever. He's very flexible on that, and especially right now where we're down a full-time staff,
Yeah.
he's filled in quite a bit too.
Okay. Okay.
Is he interested in becoming full-time?
I don't believe so. I talked with him, and I guess I didn't directly ask the question, but I kind of put it out there, and I didn't really get any feedback that he was interested in full-time, so.
And it's been advertised in local papers,
I believe so, yes.
so he would have seen it there probably. If he
Right.
was interested, he could have put an application in. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't know where Howie is. We need to approve the minutes of last week.
Yep, do it now?
Yes, please.
We have actually two sets of minutes.
We lost everything.
So we have last week was February 13, 2013. Any corrections?
Yes.
Go ahead, Commissioner Batson.
On page, well, looks like it's page 3. The paragraph concerning Commissioner Kenny's
Page 3?
previous remarks that she was going to go to court and do something because I've been breaking the law. This paragraph makes it sound, by asking to have the minutes of the Reed-Kenny investigation released, it makes it sound as if that's an illegal move. It isn't illegal at all. I can ask every day, all day if I want to. It's whether you release the material or not that's illegal. And I haven't done that. I haven't even read the report. I would like to somehow doctor this paragraph so it looks like I'm not guilty.
How would you like to do that?
Where are you? Can you say which
Same
page
place
you
I
are?
was a minute ago, on page 3.
4 paragraphs up on page 3.
February 13?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, report.
Commissioner Babson oversteps again. I haven't overstepped at all.
There's no way you're reading. Huh. Let's see here. Commission, I don't have it here. I look at
Did you-
page 3.
You're on page 3. You're not, here's page 3 right here on this week's minutes, you said.
Huh. Do you see it? Which page? Here is 3.
Yeah, this paragraph.
Oh.
What page is that?
Did you look at the
well,
tape
at
on
this
that?
Page 3.
Okay. Isn't Commissioner Babson brought up the issue? No, that is not.
Damon asked if the commissioners knew of any pending suits.
Damon asked if the commissioners knew of any pending suits. I think that Damon actually asked if Commissioner Kenny petitioned the court. I think that was the question.
Yeah, that was.
That was the question.
That was at least the intent of the question.
But your words were pending suits. If you want to change those words, that's fine, but that's what he said.
I believe that he said if there was any. Did you say that? You know.
The
what
intent
it
of the
said.
question was getting at whether the commissioners knew if Kenny filed a suit against them. So Kenny
But you
has
said
the,
if Kenny petitioned the court. I thought that you said that.
well, that was the intent of the question, but I'm not sure exactly what I said.
No, gee.
So, but I mean that was the intent of it anyway.
Okay, so if he said that. And what was Commissioner Babson going to change?
What?
He thinks he's being accused of something, oversteps again. He's only been here 5 weeks.
And I haven't
Can he
overstepped
say-
I'm
anything.
not sure he's
People have
overstepped
to-
anything, but somehow or other.
Well, no, he said he was going to release an internal investigation report, and that is exempt by law.
I
And he-
absolutely did not say that now or ever. I haven't even read it, and if you pay attention, I've said that I haven't read it, and that's an outright accusation that you better be able to back up, because I haven't said that.
Well, you changed your wording now. You said you want to make that report public. You wanted to release it to the
Yes,
public. You
as
said
a
it-
vote of
you
the
said-
board, and you people
said-
voted no, and
You
that's,
said it many times. So
That's
what do
correct.
you want to change now?
I would like it set up so it doesn't look like I've overstepped my bounds again, or
I
whatever you
think
say.
it looks normal. I don't,
Now, what do you?
that is, Damon asked a question. We cannot change his question. That is what he asked.
All right, I think,
Discussion follows surrounding.
I think we
executive
leave the
release of
minutes
Commissioner
as they
Kenny.
are, but in today's minutes, Commissioner
Yes,
Babson
yes.
can refute that particular thing and make sure that it shows up in the minutes that, I don't know what you want to have
I will make a
changed.
statement that I haven't overstepped my bounds, and I've done nothing illegal, regardless of what Commissioner Kenny says.
That will come in then today's minutes. Okay, so is there any other corrections? That's it?
I read the minutes, I don't see any.
Oh, okay. So then I make a motion to approve the minutes of February 13, 2013.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in support of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, so voted. I'm thumbing through my papers. I had it all organized prior to coming here, but I
Organize what?
misplaced all my things that were on the agenda for today that we needed to talk about.
We have another set of minutes.
Go ahead.
The minutes were tabled from, we tabled it last week. It was from February 6th because Commissioner Bobson said he was going to review the video and was looking for a statement. So did you had a chance to review the video?
I said in last week that you were correct, that you had said you were going to pursue it with the courts, not hire a lawyer, and I was fine with it last week, and I'm fine with it today.
So we're going to approve the minutes then. I make a motion to approve the minutes of February 6, 2013.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in support of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. So voted then.
I brought a non-public minutes. Did you have did you find the non-public minutes?
I
What
think
I
they're
gave
in
you
my
3 or
top
4
desk.
weeks ago?
My top desk drawer.
Well, I have other ones
Okay.
because it takes too long. I have the same. These are the two. It was January 16, but we had 2 sets. We had like 2 meetings, and you probably already read those. I had it like 4 weeks ago. And also, I have the announcement because there is so much complaints and I feel I'm being harassed as a commissioner. Where did you do the minutes? What did you do? I don't even have to do the minutes. I just have to correct the non-public minutes and store them. I'm not doing any non-public minutes anymore.
But you're still responsible for them.
I'm responsible for the corrections and the storing. I don't have to type them, and I'm not typing it anymore. It's too much complaint. I'm taking my time, I'm typing them, and no commissioner in the state is doing it. They have always somebody doing it, and we have too much complaints. So I'm done with that.
If I could make a comment, it's interesting you say that because it wasn't too long ago that you did not want the recording secretary recording non-public minutes. Now you're saying you've changed your mind on that? You want her to do that?
There are too many complaints, and I've been questioned, and I don't like that. And I don't have to put all my time in this work to do it. And no, she can do it.
Okay, so that is a change.
But only I don't know if she wants to do it. Do you want to do the non-public
I have
minutes?
since then had other obligations, so I am unable.
Okay, she
to
doesn't. She
do
can.
non-public
She
minutes.
cannot do it. So we need to find somebody to do non-public minutes.
It's, I feel bad you don't have time, but I understand.
I didn't say
You've done a lot, I'm talking about the recording
Oh.
secretary, that you've done an excellent job on the minutes since you've been here.
Thank you.
Yes, really.
I'm sorry that you don't have the time to do the non-public ones because they were done quite well.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Well,
At this time, I have other obligations in place, so
okay,
I wouldn't be able to.
okay. All right, then we need to find another
Yeah.
recording
We
secretary.
will find somebody.
You got anything else?
I have these 2 sets of non-public
Okay.
minutes.
Giving them back to you, Mr. Chairman. So they won't get lost. least on my end.
Okay. You don't have a signature block on it?
Where? I was absent. I didn't
Oh, you were
do it.
absent at this one?
Yeah, Janice did it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I did the second one.
Okay. You have another one?
No, I didn't have it.
You have another?
I gave it to you. Yeah, I just gave it to you.
Damn.
I told you it's one meeting and 2 different sessions. Did you give it back?
Same
I
date.
have nothing here. It's the same.
January 16th?
Yeah,
Okay.
Do you have another copy?
Same date, correct?
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's just,
Do you have a third copy?
No, I don't.
I don't believe I got one.
put it in February
Let me just check to make sure.
20. So I will put I abstain.
Nope, I don't have it.
I have a signature form because there's no room. There is a signature form there.
Yeah, we've
Because
got,
there is no room to put the.
I know that, but all
Otherwise,
those
you can sign on that then, but there's no room.
we have,
You can,
we
you
have to
can
sign.
sign on that and
Okay.
maybe sign on this, I will still attach
I'm not
it.
going to sign on this, and the reason why is all those 209 non-public minutes had a second page that was strictly for signature block, and when somebody, I assume you, took the staples out to make copies of it, when I got it, it was hard to figure out which paper pertained to which non-public meeting. So we've got to have it, even if we shorten that up and put half of it on this page, we've got to have the signature block on the original
First
non-public
of all,
minutes.
I didn't take any staples out, and that is how I received the 2009 non-public minutes.
Really?
It was by an employee, and that is how I got it.
Okay, well,
It was stored by an
they
employee.
were all taken out, and
And
I
I
tried to
want-
fit them back the best I could.
And I also want to say that the HR department, the assistant, and the new HR have all the non-public minutes too. All the information is in their computer, what shouldn't be there. They said they took it out. I'm not sure.
Janice, have you, would you contact John Rich and make sure he clears your computer and Debbie's computer of any non-public? Maybe you've done that already, I don't know.
They're gone.
You have?
Completely. I put them on a stick for Asher and erased them the last time.
Okay.
I was asked to do
All
so.
You
right.
put it on a stick, but there's nothing on the stick.
And would have to go back to John Rich. It was on there because before I erased it, I made sure everything came up. I don't know what
Yeah, I
happened.
don't know, maybe when you took it out, maybe it got damaged or something.
I don't know,
I
but
don't
we'd
know,
have
but
to go
it
back
was
to.
empty.
We'd
You
have to
said
go
you
back
put
to
it on.
John for
Yeah, I
his
got
backup,
nothing.
because it's gone off mine and Deb's.
All right, do I hear a motion to accept the non-public minutes of January 16th?
Yes, I'll make a motion.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in support of the motion say aye. Aye, then so voted. Okay, Howie, please. We've got to go to some other items, but while you're here, we'll take you first.
Good morning,
Good
Commissioners.
morning.
And thank you all for coming to this morning's resident buffet breakfast. They were
Can I
very-
come next week or next month?
He'll come every day if you invite him.
Well, the next one will be March 20th.
I'll be there.
So Rob has scheduled them, so they'll now always be on a Wednesday, so they'll always
Good.
be open and available to you.
March 20th?
March 20th.
I have a quick thing. Why you put a 19 on? It's a 20 today.
Because I put it on thinking it was a 19.
And I put it on after him.
They're not a big deal.
Change it if you want to.
Change it.
No, I don't want to change it
March
because
20.
later you forget you said I'm changing stuff.
Same time, Howie?
Same time.
It's early.
Well, no, it
That's
continued.
all right, that's all right. I just drive the furthest away. I got up at pretty early this morning.
Well,
20th?
I might have you beat on that, on the distance part,
20th, Howie?
the 20th. And, but it's open-ended time-wise, so while
Yeah,
it starts
I know.
at 7, you can come at 8:30.
The 20th
Oh,
of
it started
March.
at 7.
It's not, the
I
residents.
thought it was 7:30, okay.
Well,
My
you're,
mistake.
the resident, you can't stop the residents. They-
Okay. It's important for them.
It is,
That is the 20th of March.
correct.
You want to talk any more about that breakfast? I thought it was very well attended. I think you may have requested your staff to be there and very helpful to those. I don't know if that happens all the time, but...
No, that's actually routine. The staff
Okay.
from all departments, because the most difficult part is getting all the residents down there at virtually the same time. So
Yeah.
the staff from all the other departments are asked ahead of time by Susan to help out, Susan in activities.
Mhm.
And they do, and it's wonderful to see.
Yeah.
It's a great
Yeah.
connection for all of them.
Yeah.
But it actually works out wonderful that the three of you can be there, because
Yeah.
it gives staff and residents the opportunity to meet and greet.
Yeah.
Well, it makes them feel, it makes the event all the more special, and it makes them feel all the more important.
Mhm. I didn't get to talk with too many staff members. I did a couple. My problem was sitting at a table with two gentlemen. Both of them I knew, and they both wanted to talk at the same time. I tried to pay attention to one, and the other one may have felt that I wasn't paying attention to him, so after he got through, then it was a problem for me talking to both of them at that table, but I think I gained a lot of information out of talking with both of them, and it was a good conversation. And I think the staff came around to my table quite frequently, asked if everything was okay, and brought meals to them and so forth. So I think it was great to be able to be there to see that in action. You got a comment?
I think I need some training. I sat at a table and when the poor woman couldn't answer my question, and I obviously see it all the time. They don't wear anything that indicates they are, so I had to bumble
I
around.
have
You
a-
can't, I don't think you can.
I have a solution for all of you. A good way to be social and still be able to get your breakfast at the same time is to start out with a cup of coffee and make the social rounds. So you never sit down. Key is
Oh.
not to sit down until you've gone to all the
Yeah.
tables. Then you can figure out who you might want to sit with, get your breakfast, and sit down then. But to do the social part first with a cup of coffee, which can be done pretty briefly, and then it's a good chance while you're standing, you're more approachable to staff and others.
Good
And
point.
then still be able to have a leisurely breakfast if you choose.
Mhm, mhm.
So it's of course, I hide behind a camera, so I keep flying around all the time, so I never get
You do
latched
that
down to
quite
any
well.
one point. Well, the photos will be on Facebook this afternoon.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
okay.
Then I have to
Ashley, do you have any
need to
comment
sign
about
it?
the breakfast this morning?
I think it was very good. I don't eat meat, so I had some eggs. And I think the staff was wonderful, and it was very nice to meet the residents. I had two residents told me they didn't know me. I don't know from where. Maybe they're watching the meetings. It was very nice. Thank you so much, Howie. You're doing a great job.
Well, thank you. Speaking of residents not being able to identify you, I probably should have done it today, but at some point, want to take your photographs so that the residents can put a name with a face and all, so that, you know, as the more you come over, the more they'll know who you are and will come to you, knowing that you're
Yeah.
commissioners.
Howie, it might have helped to have name tags this morning.
They did.
That's,
Oh, I
but
see.
not for you, but good
They had
point.
them.
I asked for one, they didn't have one for me.
But they didn't have it for you three as commissioners, but we will do that for next time. That's well taken.
Okay.
Commissioner
Yeah, I
name.
couldn't understand one of the individuals, and I had to look at his name tag, but then I recognized him.
Oh, interestingly, the tags that the residents were wearing are actually for the dining services to be sure that people get served
What they-
right food, so that if
I
they
saw
couldn't
that.
properly identify what they want, they wouldn't be served something that would be difficult or even dangerous for them to have.
Right. Okay, you got anything else to report,
No.
population-wise?
We're at 102 census with 6 skilled, one of our highest skilled census in quite a while. And at 102, we're only one down, and we're looking to be able to fill that hopefully within the next week or so.
Have any comments about the snowstorm that we had and the parking lots being plowed and sidewalks being shoveled? Any comments regarding that? And if there are any, you might want to send those to Will,
Okay.
either favorably or unfavorably, whatever you think. I think he should get some feedback. I always ask him if the equipment is up in shape and how's things going, but it might be good to get a little note. Doesn't have to be a fancy thing, just saying you took care of the snowstorm, we had no complaints, people moved their cars, whatever. Just might be a good thing to do.
No, I'd be glad to, because the challenge that Will has for Mountain View is the fact that we're open around the clock, so it's not as though it's
Yeah.
ever a completely empty parking lot, so we have to keep juggling it. It's certainly a challenge for him
Yeah.
to find the open time to clear it out.
You have any comments?
Well, I was going to question, Commissioner Kenny mentioned that the nursing home computers have been hacked. Do you have any, can you give us any update on that? Had it happened, or had it not happened, or?
Well, it hadn't to my awareness, but I did check with senior staff this morning at staff meeting. The only incident that has ever been reported was a questionable concern over an email account that was being accessed from the outside. This was during my tenure, and I met with John Rich about that. We looked at that, and it did not look to be, while there was a problem with the email account, there was no indication that it had been accessed by anybody else on the outside. Well, there was no indication, so we had a computer problem that was questioned by the staff member as potentially being hacked, but John could find no evidence of that. And there's been no report of any of the general files ever being corrupted or accessed or hacked from the outside or inappropriately from the inside. So we actually have a very nice server-based system, so it's I'm actually very satisfied with the level of security and dependability. So I think we're at least next door. I think we're in good shape.
Go ahead.
Well, I think it was unauthorized computer access. And an employee came forward and she sent, I believe, her email and evidence to the commissioners what she had. And I think she brought it even forward to an attorney to look into it, but that person was not looking into it more. So there was some access, unauthorized access, not only that email. There is evidence for it. And I also told the board that time was last year that we need to go to law enforcement and not by Cybertron to see what is going on, but suddenly it was rush done with Cybertron. There is evidence out there.
Where? Where, Commissioner?
Where?
Yeah.
That is the information what was sent to us. And information was also sent to the attorney.
Could you?
Since I've been on the board?
No, you
No,
were not.
this is
This
a year
was
ago?
last year.
Oh, okay.
Could you come up with a letter that was sent to us? Or did you throw it away?
What's that? I will look it up and
The only one that I am familiar with over there is that in one office, there were two computers, two people. One person was gone, and the individual that was in there couldn't come up with whatever it was they were looking for on that computer, so the individual signed in on the other computer and made a mistake of not signing off and left her password and so forth in there, so that when that individual came back, she had access to everything that was in the person who signed into her computer. I believe we have in our handbook now that should not happen, and there would be the policy would state that there would be action taken as a result of anything that happens like that again. The individual signed in, made a mistake, and she didn't sign off, which allowed the other individual whose computer it was get in on it, and I don't know what she did with it, but that was the only incident that I'm aware of.
Well, you don't know if it's true. I mean, everyone can say that. And that is one explanation, but there was also evidence from another department, another computer to show how are you going to explain that from somewhere else emails are coming or be forwarded. That person should be walking then to the other building and go to the other computer then. Was somebody not sign off there and send emails there too?
Well, I guess I'm not aware of it. If you have documentation.
It was sent to the Board of Commissioners.
So you must have a copy of it.
I will look for it.
Okay, thank you.
Was it a mistake that they didn't sign off, or was the mistake that they signed into someone else's computer?
No. They just used somebody else's computer. They signed in with their password and did their whatever it was because the other computer wasn't functioning properly. And then got the information off it and left it open, didn't sign off.
So nobody.
So when the other person came in, whose computer it really was, it was open, and that individual then had access because the computer was left open. Okay? Right. So there's no hacking as such. It was a mistake made by the individual that signed in on that other computer. She should have signed off.
That's the mistake. I mean, it sounds like. So the mistake was she should have signed off, not that she used the other computer. Using the other computer was okay.
No. I mean, the other computer was so-called dead. She brought it up and signed in, got the information, but just forgot to sign off.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say that was hacking, but the person whose computer it was, when she came back to her desk or back to the office the next day or whenever it was left open. So she could get into anything that the individual that used their computer. Okay? That was the only incident that I've heard of over at the nursing home. And I think that individual knows about it and has taken action not to do that again.
Staff are very good now about locking their computers when they leave. It's a very simple function of the Windows key and L, and the machine's instantly locked anytime you walk away from it.
Yeah.
If staff is very good in doing that, how can a person leave it open then? He said staff is very good in locking out, taking care of that.
Well, it just prevents other people from using it, correct?
Correct, and that's the...
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
There's nothing else pending.
Okay, you got anything?
Thank you.
No? Okay.
Thank you.
And we will see, he's coming later today?
Yeah, you were on for non-public?
Nope.
No.
No, I'm actually not on the agenda at all. I'm glad to come back because...
Okay.
So what is this then?
I don't think so.
I thought that we're going to do interview with him because he's like 6 months here.
No.
It will be in March.
It will be in March, but we haven't had a chance to go over the evaluation forms that Janice has provided us. And then also we need to talk with some people over there as well for the interview. But yes, we will interview him when the time comes, prior to him completing his probationary period. Okay? Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Yeah. What is this then on the agenda, non-public personnel interviews? What is this then?
That's for secretaries in our office. That I hear on campus.
So this is for hiring?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's see, who else is supposed to be here?
Nobody.
Nobody? Okay.
Oh, John Rich. 11.
Okay.
Sheriff's
was-
Department?
Sheriff's
Oh, but he's not.
Do you have anything you want? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Short and sweet, Commissioner Stana. There are 3 pages of statistics for you from the previous week. One is the sheriff's, one is specific to the sheriff's office, one is specific to towns, the other one is communication center based, all the calls for service. And I assume that this document means you just want to update
That's
from
correct, yeah.
2008.
Yeah, what the sheriff has is a inventory of everything in the sheriff's department. I requested that back in, what's the date on it?
2000.
January 16, 2008.
2008, and I believe that was when we had a change in sheriffs from Carr to Conley. And I asked Sheriff Carr to put that together. I think he was the one that did that. And so it'd be nice to have that updated. I mean, it's got all the weapons, it's got furniture, it's got computers, fairly complete inventory. It doesn't have the cruisers on there, but radios and cameras and where the guns are mentioned, the serial numbers are there. I just think it's a good thing to update. So
Would you like vehicle information on here as well?
I depends on the board, I guess.
I'd just like to know how many. I don't need VIN numbers or,
How many and what type?
yeah,
We got a Hummer, we got a...
four-wheel drive truck or,
Yeah.
Estimated
One
life
cruiser.
expectancy, when you need to replace them.
and when you're expecting to replace them.
Not anymore. No longer. The leases are all gone.
Okay.
Very good, thank you.
Monday, I had an interesting 3 hours here at the complex. There was an individual, he is 24 years old. He's a assistant bank manager. He's taken a course through the Mount Washington Valley Chamber of Commerce. They have a leadership course that's offered once a year. He signed up for it, and the leadership course, and I agreed to it with Janice Crawford a few years ago when it first started, that I would be available to be interviewed as my position here as a county commissioner. Well, this is the first time it came up, and he wanted to interview me, so we communicated back and forth by email, and I suggested that we come down to the complex and go through a couple of different departments. And so he was here for about 3 hours. We went through the jail, the communication center, and the nursing home. I think he gathered a lot of information out of it. I shared with him the annual report and the job, what we're responsible for as presented in the handbook for commissioners. I couldn't have known or met a very interesting person. It was Vince Osgood from Freiburg. He was just a good gentleman, and I told him so. But I think he had a good interview. I asked him if there was going to be any reports, and he's obligated through this course to interview 5 different leadership people throughout the valley. And so, and he did say that he had a meeting with the sheriff, state police, and I believe the town Chief Wagner from Conway Police Department. But he made the comment that, he made several comments, but one of them was that he was glad to see what the sheriff was talking about in his presentation, actually seeing the dispatch center and so forth. I didn't realize it until I was on the road coming down that Monday was a holiday, Registry of Deeds was closed, and several other people weren't available. But we did what I thought we had to do. Very appreciative. And I just wanted to report that it was a great interview. While I was here, a person from TD Bank called, by the name of, I don't know her first name, Mrs. Chase was her last name. She had said that Commissioner Kenny had met with her.
Met?
Well, had called or talked with her about receiving electronic bank statements for Carroll County. And she wanted to know what to do about it, and she said that she didn't have the authority to release that or to agree to it, that it should have been a board action that was taken. So then I called the treasurer, and he told me that Commissioner Kenny had approached him to get that information. And apparently it wasn't satisfactory to Commissioner Kenny, so she went directly to TD Bank. The treasurer told Commissioner Kenny that we were changing banks, that we were putting all our accounts into one bank, and that it wouldn't be any use to her, but she apparently told him that she wanted to go back and look at previous year's bank statements. So, Commissioner Kenny, do you have a purpose for doing that?
Yes, I did some research, and we heard last week that we can do maybe electronic filing, and apparently all the bank statements we can do electronic too. And what I hear from Mrs. Seaman said, if you need to find something, like she went in a vault room, you have to go through boxes. So I said maybe there is a quicker way if we can view bank statements online. Maybe the commissioner can do that. And I called around Citizens Bank and all other banks and asked them how they are doing. And they say, yes, you can view only. They can set up that you can view, but what county are you, what bank? So you need to go to that bank. So I called TD North and I said, is there a way that commissioners can view only instead of going through all the boxes if we want to look at bank statements? And she said, you need to call the treasurer and maybe he can set you up. And I said, okay, I called the treasurer. I said, is there a way that commissioners can do online viewing? Because the bank said, you get just a window, they set it up that you just view. That's all. And the treasurer said that we're shutting down all the accounts, we go into a new bank, and it is maybe easier to do the online viewing. I said, but if you shut it down, what happened with all the other information then? Can we not view that? And he said he doesn't know, because it is so ironic that suddenly we're shutting down the account. Because when I was just elected, I asked, why can we not doing banking here in Ossipee or the Citizens Bank? And I was told because TD Bank had such a good fees, they want to stay there. And we're paying also so many $1,000s a year, having somebody deposit checks there. And I asked also if there were easier way that, you know, maybe we can save money if we can deposit instantly. And they say, yeah, there is a way to. So I thought I can explore maybe different ways to save the county money. And I don't know what the issue is. It is issue for the board if we have a view window to review it. So what is wrong with that?
I don't know what the purpose was of what you were looking for.
So that the commissioners, or you can go to all the boxes like she said, or you have a window. You cannot do anything. They set it up, they say, as a view window. Just so you can only view it online, that's all. Okay. You cannot do anything. I think it is easier.
Yeah. You realize we have all the bank statements downstairs.
I asked for it. I didn't get any. Okay. I think to go online, it's easier and having a view window that the commissioners will see that.
Go ahead,
but I don't know why we're chasing suddenly. That is another thing to another bank. Because they're going to shut it all down now.
That's correct. I met with the treasurer one day. He happened to be here when I was here. He was having a meeting with another bank. And he agreed that it would be a savings to the county rather than borrowing money all at once to have to pay interest on that. That he would be looking for a line of credit with this other bank, which they agreed to, so that when we need money, we can go and get money. So it's a line of credit type thing, rather than borrowing what they call the TANs money, anticipation of taxes, so that it would be cheaper for us to do it that way, and that's why he was. And also we had at least 2 banks where we had different accounts in, and he wanted to combine them into one bank. And so that was the discussion. He was talking this over with Kathy Geary and a member of the bank that he was negotiating with. Go ahead, Mr. Batson.
Commissioner Kenny, I don't understand. I would have thought in your letter that you purport, that you wrote in the paper, that there are other commissioners. First, I would have thought you would have brought it before the board. Second of all, how far back do you want to go? You've been here for 2 years signing checks. Do you want to go back farther than that? Going forward, you can see them as you sign them.
Well, anytime I can do research and ask questions and calling around. What's wrong with that?
Well, you've been signing checks for 2 years. Don't you look at them?
Yes, I do.
Can't you get your information from that?
Not always.
Oh.
Well, I think what happens here is that we're left out of the loop, and when we get a call from a bank as to why Commissioner Kenny wants to have this electronic distribution of bank statements, then it brings up a question as to what the board is doing. So anyway,
they say they can just set it up. It's easy. They just put up a fee window.
I think with the new system that was talked about last week, we could find out a lot of information a lot quicker by computer than we're doing right now. Yes, they have to go up into the vault and get things that happened years ago, but with this new system, once it's online, you push a button and you will get the information very quickly. But the bank statements are down in our office. As the general public might not know, we sign all the checks with exception of payroll checks. So anybody that buys anything from the jail or the nursing home, sheriff's department or wherever, we sign probably, I don't know, 40 or 50 checks every week so that we know where the money is being spent. We can question the expenses, and that's something that's been done for years. Yes, it's an extra burden on the commissioners to sign all those, but the vouchers and stuff in back of those, that would explain what the expenses are all about. So we do that every week. At least 2 commissioners and the treasurer. Treasurer sees them all. The commissioners, depending on what we've got going on in the office, I might sign some 1 month or 1 week. Others might sign them different times. It's just sort of a check and balances for knowing what goes on in the county. So that's where we stand on that issue. What else we got on the agenda? John Ridge, not until 11. What's that? Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. I went through this all at home and I had it all figured out. A couple of issues that we need to talk about is the jail ranking system. And I had comments on that. And I don't think it's down on my desk. And I don't know, do you have a copy of it by any chance?
Yes, I do, someplace. Yep.
My comments were that, one, I think they ought to have a physical fitness test every time they apply or qualify for a different ranking system. And I don't think it's an automatic thing like a couple of those areas were, where it's automatically a promotion based on the things that they do. I think they ought to have references from other officers recommending them for that particular rank. And I would hope that they would have a review board at every ranking. I just think and I think the years should be extended from 2 to 3 years. And I forget the last one. But I had a lot of comments. I think it's worthwhile doing. I think the comment was made by you, Commissioner Babson, that it looked like it was a step in hourly wages, and that could come up at the union level. We felt that that wouldn't be the case, that this would be a morale booster for the Department of Corrections. But those are my comments that I had on it, and I'm sorry I can't find them.
I have a question. The two correctional officers, I don't know what the title is, if they're sergeants, who get extra money last week, what you voted for.
Right.
How much did they get each? You know, was one
One
was
of
like
them got a little over
3,500?
35,000,
One was like 3,500?
$3,500, I believe.
And what was the other one?
The other one was substantially less than that.
For the general public, it was a case where Jason came in. When we had shortage of officers over there, some of the other officers filled into those positions. They were lower ranking or lower status. And the board decided that we would give them whatever that person who wasn't there was getting, that they would get the same amount. And that's the way the board voted 2-1.
Looks like I got everything else, but it must be downstairs in my drawer. Desk.
It's a shame I spent time at home working on it. I can't even think of the other category.
No, I don't have it on my jail tab here.
Commissioner, if I may,
Yes.
just a point of clarification.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying, when you use the word officer, it might be a misconception. An officer, correction officer, might have been filling the role of a supervisor.
Right.
And therefore, he was getting supervisor's pay. I'm just trying to
They
clarify
get
that.
supervisor's pay,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. Okay, well, John is here now, so John, would you come up? We've asked John to come up with an inventory of all computers in all departments and any other information that he could add, serial numbers and so forth and so on. Good morning, John.
Good morning. What you have here by department is a list of all the equipment and when it was purchased, as near as I could tell. There was some equipment, well, I'd say at least half the equipment in the Sheriff's Department was ordered and actually assembled by Captain Myers.
Mhm.
So we have no record of exactly when that was purchased, other than, so all I could do in that case was judge based on the technology in it as to how old it was. But those ones have all been cycled out of service anyway. They're all sitting in a back room waiting to make sure that they're cleared off before anything's done with them. I also included in the final column when each piece is scheduled to be replaced. Now this is a general guideline. The networks are ever evolving. We can't tell today that 2 years from now one department may wish to have some piece of software to run their department that would require new equipment. We can't foresee that. But based on today's needs, you have a general list as to, a guideline as to what should be replaced each year.
So you have where you have the model, you have the serial number, purchase date, warranty, and schedule for replacement.
Correct.
You have a comment?
Yeah, I wanted to ask John, The sheriff's department, are these all computers?
Yes.
My God, that's more than the Staples has got in stock.
Well, keep in
There's
mind.
2 pages probably, there's probably 25 on a page.
Does this thing, no, go ahead.
Now, at least half of those are not in use at this time. They're sitting in a back closet. I know when Captain Myers was here, he had a couple of racks full of computers that he could pull out and do training with. They were older models, but that's what he used them for. And he'd bring in police officers and whatnot from other agencies, things like that. We're not using them for that anymore. He also used several of them for forensic investigation. And again, that's not being done on site anymore. So those computers are now retired.
If you say retired, where are the computers?
We have, in the Sheriff's Department, there is a storage office next to Mike Bedley and Tim Thompson's office. There's actually 2 offices back there. There's a bunch of machines in that area. And the administration half, in my serving room, you'll see I have a bunch of PCs just sitting on the floor in there for a lack of space to put them anywhere else. The nursing home stores their old retired computers in the old nursing home, in the what used to be Paula's office.
Yeah.
And the jail doesn't have any of their old computers. They've all been disposed of. They haven't retired in at least a couple of years now.
Okay. Can you speak for the Sheriff's Department as to, are you still going to be using computers for training? And do you keep a supply on hand for training purposes? You're
really
new,
can't
so you
speak
may not
to it.
know.
But currently, we do not have a forensic computer guy like Captain Myers was.
Right.
So whether or not that would happen in the future, I'm not sure.
Okay.
This list has 77 computers on it. If they're all
Are they all computers?
If they're
These are all computers. Every one of these is a computer.
Yeah.
Or a server.
And we've got, what, 11, 12, 13 men in the department?
Well, you got dispatch too.
Keep in mind, each dispatch station has 4 computers to run the various pieces that they run. So you have a dozen computers just in dispatch that are being used.
Okay, so that takes us down to 65, which I would say was a rather large number for a force of 13 people, 14 people.
Outside of dispatch,
Anyway, John, thank you for putting this together.
yeah,
It needs to be watched.
outside of dispatch, there's about another dozen computers, maybe 15 computers that are actually in use, plus the servers. The rest of them are sitting in the storage area.
And the condition of those that are in the storage area?
Those are at least 8 to 10 years old. They're not good to be used anywhere.
They couldn't be used in a nursing home for residents in a nursing home?
We actually have some there that we're planning on cycling into them. When you get a computer that's 8 to 10 years old, they are slow and unresponsive, and that becomes even more of an issue when you have an operator that is less than proficient. Because they'll click on a link or whatever,
Yeah.
and the machine doesn't respond, so they think they misclicked, and then they'll click again, and then suddenly 4 or 5 things will
Is that a
pop up.
learning experience though for the residents?
It is.
I mean, somebody could help them, and if they could play games on it, or
Absolutely.
whatever.
We have some other computers at the nursing home that are much better than anything left in the sheriff's department
Oh.
that will be cycled in for our residents.
Would you say those that are in the storage in the Sheriff's Department were used by Mr. Myers to take parts from and move them to other computers, or not?
Not necessarily. He had a fairly good part supply on hand, so I don't know that he needed to necessarily rob them out of one to fix another. I have done that in the time I've been here.
Yeah.
A couple times I have robbed power supplies or whatnot out of the retired machines, because that technology hasn't changed in many years, so I'm able to do that.
Maybe the sheriff's office ought to take a look at that and see what ones we can get rid of.
Pretty sure John's been handling it.
I have authorization
Okay.
to do that, but I need to go through, pull the hard drives and make sure that all the data is completely wiped to ensure that there is absolutely nothing on them
Yeah.
before I dispose of them. That is on my list of tasks. It's just low on the priority based upon the server work that I have been accomplishing over the last several months.
Okay, go ahead.
Dave, when we apportion the IT budget across the different departments, it would appear to me, and I believe John told us it wasn't an easy task to wipe these dry. Wipe them clean, it takes quite a while.
It's not that it's not easy, it's just time consuming.
Okay.
Because we do a full data wipe. I have a machine specifically set up for that task. That's its only task here, its only purpose. And once I plug a hard drive into it and run the routine, it actually writes data over every last section of the hard drive, erases it, rewrites it, and erases it to make sure that there is absolutely nothing that could ever possibly be recovered from that hard drive. And that's what we do before anything is retired out of this county, anywhere.
Okay. I wasn't doubting that it wasn't time consuming, John. But when we come to sit down to do the budget, somehow Kathy apportions the different IT amounts to the different departments. It sounds to me that the sheriff's department might be getting off a little light here because of the number of units they have, and if they've got to be wiped dry, their budget certainly ought to be higher than it is.
All right.
I think you'll find that their department takes up the largest portion of the contract.
Up into 60, 65,000 a year?
It's less than that.
Less than that?
But it's
maybe it was that when Captain Myers was here.
Right.
Well, 65,000, I think, was the figure, was quoted somehow what it would cost if we did our own work instead of having an inside expert or something. That's going back 5 or 6 years. 65 figure was the figure thrown out to the delegation for something, and I can't quite remember what it was, but it had to do with if we did the work ourselves.
Okay, Ed, go ahead.
Before wiping the hard drives, is that information being stored someplace?
All information in every department in this county is supposed to be stored on servers. There is supposed to be no data on any individual hard drive. Now, having said that, files get cached, they get copied for whatever reason. All the active files are stored on servers, which of course is backed up, et cetera, et cetera. So wiping the hard drives is a precautionary measure to make sure that there are no cached copies of any piece of data on the local machine. But it is not stored there on a regular basis.
Okay, so if a 91A request was put in for a particular email from a particular person 8 years ago on one of those computers, can that be provided?
Yes, all email is stored on the server. What any individual sees, whether they access it on their individual workstation, whether they access it on a smartphone or tablet, or whether they access it from the web application, they're actually just looking at what is on the server. The actual email is stored on the server. Nobody's email is dependent on any computer, any individual computer, anywhere in this network, on any department. So any computer can totally fail, totally crash, and they do not lose any of their information.
Even computers that are 8 to 10 years old? That information is still stored on that server?
All the information, since I have been working here, is stored on the server. I have been working at the House of Corrections for that same period of time, and I can tell you for a fact, at the House of Corrections, all information has been stored on servers.
Okay, thank you.
The department here, to the best of my knowledge, from what I can tell, has been done the same way and has followed that same procedure. Of course, I personally did not do it at that time, but I see no reason to believe that it is not that way.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
I have a question. You
Yes.
said that the sheriff's department, there are no records, but every purchase is going to the business office and the commissioner signs. So how are there no records?
I don't.
Potentially with enough digging, we could get that information, but being that these machines are all old, outdated, and retired, I don't see the reason.
You said the sheriff's department have no records.
That I could find.
That they,
Now,
yeah, but
you're right,
there's-
it could potentially, I mean, I don't know what Captain Myers did during that time, whether he recorded them as computers. It's quite possible he ordered individual components and not actual computers. That's what it looks like he did.
I think that's what
So
he
we
did,
don't
too.
actually have a record of a computer purchase. We would potentially have records that he bought a dozen motherboards and a dozen cases and a dozen hard drives. That may be information that could be discovered if we went back and dug hard enough.
yeah, because parts, we will
Mhm.
find also the purchases of parts. There
Right.
must be some kind of record.
I'm
Because I
sure
find
if
it
you,
a
I'm sure if
little-
you dug enough of that information, you can find it.
Well, where we paid for it, we
Right.
should have that
Yeah,
information.
because you said there are no records, I find it a little strange. We should have some kind of records of computers or the parts.
Well, we would have vouchers as to what Captain Myers had purchased,
So there is
if we
some-
went back.
I'm sure there is those records, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So I
No, I just
apologize for
wanted
that.
to
Yeah,
clear-
I apologize for that.
Anything else? When's the IT committee going to be meeting? You met yesterday, okay. Was the representative there that wants to be on that committee?
No,
Okay.
an invitation was extended.
Well, the representative that want to be on the committee, I think he needs to be appointed first, and he was not yet. They didn't do it at the last delegation meeting.
Well,
So they should do it this
I'm not
Friday.
I'm not sure that they have to be appointed. Anybody could get on a committee.
Oh, that is what,
If they want to appoint somebody, and that person then
Representative.
reports to them, I guess it's their prerogative. You have a question?
Yeah, Jan, when you set these up, this time of year in Concord is the busiest time. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, you're not gonna get any representatives available to come to a meeting, so you
Okay.
might plan on scheduling them on Monday and Friday, and that'll make it a little easier for them to get here.
Okay.
Is the IT committee prepared to talk with the subcommittee, which is, the IT is on the Umberger's subcommittee? She's chairman of that subcommittee. She was responsible for administration and farm and, no, not farm, administration. And I believe they were looking for some kind of a meeting with the IT committee to understand what is going on, maybe how they justify a portion of that budget in each department. Maybe they would be looking at having one department, an IT department, and putting everybody's budget item in that one department. I think we've gone the other direction, saying that it ought to be split up so we know what is being spent in each department as far as the use of computers and so forth, and they budget accordingly. That's something maybe we need to take a look at. Maybe this performance auditing committee might be the ones that would suggest doing that kind of a thing. But I think at some point in time, the IT committee ought to be meeting with, or offer to meet with the Umberger subcommittee, just for them to be to perhaps understand more about the IT committee, what the function is, the contract. I think they're looking for the contract with Cybertron. Now, I think it's just for information. I don't think they're digging for anything. I think they just want to know what's going on. So
Well, I can, well, Ed taped the meeting.
That's right.
That's available.
That's right.
But I also have the meeting minutes that I can send.
It was her committee where it was discussed, so,
Okay.
yeah, that should be available.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions? Any more questions? Good job, John. I know, I'm sure it took you a lot of time in putting together all these, but I think it's a good thing to have.
It is a good thing to have. You know, I'll admit freely that the timing wasn't great based upon the server work I've been doing.
Yeah.
This is actually information that should be recorded, and it's great that we finally have it.
So you'll update it periodically?
We'll keep it updated. I will keep it updated from this point forward. And
Okay.
actually, in listening to you talk, it occurred to me that I did not get the farm computers in the jail's record, so I'll get that updated as well.
They only have one.
Jail
two?
is here.
Jail is here, but I missed the one in the farm.
Yep.
I missed that one.
Okay.
So,
Well, they got a bad ratio there. They got 3 workers in one computer. They don't have 11 and 77. So I don't think they're gonna hurt our inventory. You had a question for
Yeah.
John? John, do you have a system set up so that as these different departments purchase equipment, they send you over a chit that says, I bought a motherboard or I bought something else? So that you don't have to go chasing around looking for this information?
well, at this point forward, it's entirely my responsibility to do that.
buy
So I'm the one that actually places the order.
Oh, okay.
Now,
Okay.
all expenditures are approved by the appropriate department head. I don't have any authority to make expenditures, but I actually do the work to place
Okay.
the order and whatnot. So I will get all that information from here on out and keep it updated.
So if they're buying a new computer, they don't buy it, you do?
I go out and I source it. That's correct.
Okay. That's good, thank you.
Check with the various government companies that sell to governments, get a good deal on something, and I do the legwork on that.
Everything is compatible on the complex?
Compatible.
I mean, we're buying the same models or the advanced model, I should say.
We basically go between 3 different vendors, between Dell, HP, and Nextlink. Those are, I think, virtually everything here, other than the generic ones.
And we get government prices.
Absolutely.
And does every department have a copy of this? Where their computers stand, as far as age and inventory and so forth?
Haven't really gotten that far. I gave copies of this to the IT committee, and I think that's where
Okay.
it belongs.
Yeah.
So that as we...
Well, they have a representative on from each department, so, okay.
And so we, and I discuss with every department head every year
Mhm.
what their needs are, and so that they can budget, put it in their budget.
Okay. Okay, anything further? No. Have anything, Andrew?
Nope.
David?
All right. Yes.
Could I just ask a question for clarification?
Go ahead.
John, when when the county had the issue with the email problem, what was it, a year ago, or the issue Commissioner Kenny was talking about, didn't you put something in place that when somebody doesn't log off, the computer shuts down in 5 minutes or something like that, so that you don't have to manually shut it off?
It will, the computers will automatically lock the screen after a set period of time. That is correct.
So nobody else could get on and using, if somebody left the computer open and didn't sign off, it automatically shuts down, and
It
so...
doesn't shut down, it locks the screen. So therefore, without that user's password, or an administrative user such as myself, that computer cannot be accessed.
Okay. All right. Good question.
Thank you.
Yes, Ed?
It's about email again. If the commissioners use their personal email now to do county business because they don't have a specific county email address, those wouldn't be on the server, is that correct?
If it's their personal email, it would not be on our server.
So the only way I could get to those emails is I would have to put a subpoena into that individual email holder.
I would presume so, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe last week you mentioned that you wanted your own county emails.
Yeah, which would come into the county computer in our office.
And that would be on the county system.
And then any county business would be done with that email
Yes.
address, correct?
Yeah, we have one. I think we got last year one. But it's for all the commissioners, so we have one now.
We do have one now, but it's all 3 of us. Commissioner Babson wanted to have it so that he doesn't get all of the Mox Nix stuff that he doesn't care about. He wants to make sure people get in touch with him for some particular reason. I don't know if I'm explaining that right.
Emails going around the county yet, we're all, I guess because they want to keep us in the loop, they think they copy us. I mean, there's hundreds of them. I'm interested in what somebody wants to say to the commissioners.
So as of now, you are doing county business with your own personal emails. That's correct then?
No, we have the commissioner's email.
Okay. So you don't communicate at all via your personal emails and discuss county business? The reason why I say
don't.
that is because if you do, then it's very difficult to go and
Get
get
it.
any public, the public can't access that.
Yep.
And I don't even know if it's legal, especially with the new 91A law. I think you're supposed to hold or keep electronic files available for the public if they want the files. So I would encourage you to use the county email once you...
I think we made a
Yeah.
motion that all
We-
county business would be done with our computer downstairs, and no longer would it be coming to our home. Right?
That was about
We've
6
been
months
doing
ago.
that since, I think, last year.
Yeah.
In the beginning, we didn't have any computer there.
That's right.
And later it became an issue. And we have a computer, and since ever we have a computer, we do everything through the commissioner's email.
One final
If we
question.
can access it.
It also, late last year, when I implemented a new email server here in the administration building, it now allows the commissioners to access that email from home, even though it's still on our server, but they can get to it without having to physically be here in the office.
And that's how they're operating now.
They have the choice of accessing it on the web. They can be here in the commissioner's office downstairs. It's their choice.
And it holds on the server their responses to that
Yes.
email?
Yes. Whether they access it from the web app or whether they're physically here, still the email is stored on the server.
I have not accessed anything on the one you're talking about.
I didn't even know you could.
Yeah.
That's why I think he...
Did you state you did not know you could?
Right.
Connect from our home to the server here.
I thought that he came in and he said that, I think, the last time that he was in. I think he explained that.
Thank you.
And the question that I have is, so if you sign out of the computer, like you said, the screen locked, when does it lock? Is it like a second, 2 seconds?
I think I have it set at 10 minutes. Anything
Oh, okay.
less than that is disruptive to the user every time they
Oh,
answer the
okay.
phone or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
And when did you have that in place? Is that always like that, or is it a new thing?
I don't recall offhand. I think it was late last year that I made it a system policy. I think most people had that anyway, but I think I made it a system policy late last year.
So if somebody comes on within those 10 minutes,
It's still logged in.
then the time comes from them, when they get off, another 10 minutes before it shuts down?
Right. 10 minutes of inactivity.
Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead.
John, is it possible to get our own email address on the complex or the commissioner's email site?
Absolutely. And actually, there is evidence of the past of former commissioners having individual email addresses still in the system. I think Marge Webster had one, and I believe I've seen 1 or 2 other commissioners that had individual email addresses. And when that changed,
So
that I don't know.
the commissioners had computers in the past in the office?
I guess I'm not aware of it. I didn't realize she had a email address here.
And she would have had to have logged in as herself somewhere within the
Using
county.
some other computer,
Right.
maybe the office, yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
She could have taken over one of the business office computers for the length of time she needed to access her email.
John,
I
I've
don't know.
asked you before, on the commissioner's computer downstairs, we've asked why we don't have anything on there since November, and I think you told me that it was deleted.
It would have had to have been deleted. We had not any issues with the email server that would have done that.
I've only been on it once downstairs.
I was
but-
trying a couple of times to access it, and it said only November. It's like it is not updated. It doesn't update.
Okay, I can check that again, but
But how, what you said, it is deleted, so do you think there were emails there from December, January, February, and that's gone, that's deleted? Is that what you're saying?
if you, I do not log into your account, so I don't know what's in there. If you had seen emails during that period in the past that are not there now, then somebody would have had to delete them.
No, I didn't see it. The only thing what I saw was, I think was November, yeah.
Back in
I think
November.
what
Yeah, I
Ash is
think
talking
November.
about, I went on just once and it was
November.
probably mid-January, and November 4th was the last time that we had any emails, with the exception of about maybe 4 emails in just less than a half a dozen in December.
I will check today while I'm here to make sure
Maybe
that...
we just don't get them.
But I don't understand.
I will
how-
check today personally to make sure that...
For that, there were
account is
hundreds of
working. Yeah, I will check to make sure that account is working.
How is somebody going in and delete those emails? I don't understand that.
I didn't get on it, so couldn't have deleted it.
I will
I'm
go
not smart
today.
On the
Go
last
ahead.
couple of weeks, there was discussions about hacking over at the nursing home.
Okay.
Had you seen any evidence of hacking, whether it's malicious or sort of accidental?
Hacking? No, I have seen no evidence of hacking on that system.
No evidence of anything malicious, or there was some episode of somebody signing in on somebody else's computer, but that seems to be sort of a, would you say that's an innocent, just an innocent thing that happened, but just they should
I've
have
only
logged
heard
off?
about it one time.
And that's the only,
I'm not sure I should be speaking to that issue one way or the other without the commissioner's permission there.
Well, you can answer yes or no, whether you've ever had any evidence that there was hacking going on.
I see no evidence of hacking.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
What did you see then? Unauthorized access, computer access, unauthorized use of...
We saw that that may have happened. I think as I explained to you at the time that a lot of the logging on that system has been disabled because of the lack of resources on their system. So I was not able to confirm or deny that it actually happened, because those logs just don't exist. And until they get their new system, they will not exist. That system just does not have the resources to keep all that information on it. I think...
That's the first time I heard of it.
Question came up this morning, and I think Janice confirmed it, that you have deleted all of the... No?
I deleted it.
You deleted it?
I need him to pull it back out so that Asha can have copies.
Okay, the
He
question...
backed up the files, Robin Reed's computer.
Okay.
I was asked to pull off non-public minutes and put them on a stick for Commissioner Kenny, which I did, and then deleted the file, which I was asked to do. Apparently, the stick somehow, between my giving it to Commissioner Kenny, no longer contains that information of his blank.
Okay, we should
So
have that.
we need to restore,
I should be able to restore that for
it
you.
downstairs even for
Yeah.
the commissioners and let them do it this time.
We don't want to restore it, we want to eliminate it off her computer.
It is off my computer, but we need it restored so
We still need the
Commissioner Kenny
backup.
has them, because
Okay.
somehow, between downloading and
It's
verifying that it was there and giving her the stick, they're no longer there on
Okay,
that stick.
I'll get to you with you later.
Okay,
We'll
but
get
I
that.
don't need them. They're gone off mine. It's just for the commissioner.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
I had one other question, but I can't think of it. I lost my train of thought. I don't know. Anybody else, any questions? Anyway, thank you for
I'm around for the afternoon.
the
so if you-
effort
if
for
you-
putting this
If you think of
together.
your question, I'm around.
You'll be around,
Yes.
okay. Thank you.
Rob.
You got the agenda. You all right?
Yep. Yeah, we are, but except for the commissioners' work time, and maybe on a public session now, and public input, and
Okay,
then we can sit here with Jan and work on our paperwork.
okay.
I got it here somewhere, David.
Okay, at this point in time, we're going to public comment. Go ahead.
I'd just like to know now that Mr. Kenny's no longer going to be responsible for the minutes, who's going to be, how are you going to delegate that?
Well, we're going to have
Task
to
to
find
somebody
another
or-
recording secretary to do that. We did find out, I don't know if you were here a week or two ago, that we can have a recording secretary take non-public minutes. That recording secretary, Howard, doesn't store them. It's still Commissioner Kenny, as the clerk, is storing those minutes.
But
So,
as of now, because, so is
That's
she going to be
correct.
responsible for finding somebody, or?
We'll have to advertise.
Okay. And another thing, back to the computers, situation on this complex. In any company you work for, you can go to any computer and log on. Use the computer and log off. The way you're talking about computers, it sounds like everybody has their own computer and nobody else should use it.
No. The problem we ran into is somebody didn't log off. And I don't know if he had the 10 minutes there or not, but somebody else got on it.
I understand that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that anybody listening to this,
Yeah.
you say her computer, or they walked into her office, or it's for clarity's sake, any computer on this campus, somebody can walk into, log on, do what they have to do,
Yep.
and log off.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I just wanted to
Clarify.
So it sounds like
Good. Yeah.
nobody's doing something bad just because if this computer didn't work, I mean, it happens all the time at work.
Sure.
You're doing something,
Yeah.
there is nobody's personal computer.
That they're all connected internally.
But that's what you have a password for.
That's right.
Or a badge for. You swipe it,
Yep.
your fingerprints are on that, you do it, you log off.
The problem is they didn't log off.
Which
Anybody can use anybody's
Right, which
computer.
you fixed, and
Yeah.
that's, I mean, 10 minutes is actually a really long time. As long as you're using the computer, it remains active. If
Yeah.
you turn to get a phone call, I mean, it takes a lot of my time at work, because that's what happens.
Yeah.
I get interrupted, I have to come back, log on again. It's a lot of wasted time, but it is a good security measure.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
thank you.
Damon?
Did you say somebody got on it, or somebody could have got on it?
Well, either case.
Okay.
It wasn't right. The person should have logged off.
Okay, and then just to clarify Nancy's situation, are you saying you need a new minute taker for both public and non-public? Or, Nancy, it sounded like you had other commitments. I didn't know if that meant you were moving on from taking minutes.
No, I
Generally.
did not mean that.
Okay, so you're with us still?
Yes.
Great, thanks.
Well, it depends what the board decides. The delegation has a recorder that was our recorder at one time, who did both the non-public and the public.
No, she didn't did a non-public. She
Well,
did only
one
public.
did, one did, let's put it that way. I don't know what the present one isn't. But I'd rather have one person doing both the public and the non-public. It's just a matter then of having two people coming in on a Wednesday, one to do the non-public, one to do the public. This way here is going to work out fine with her being here. I don't know when to call the other, or when the clerk calls the other recording secretary in just to do the non-public. There's time wasted there, I think. So I think that's something we need to look at, whether we hire another new recording secretary or split it up. That's something we need to talk about.
Well, she's available for doing the public minutes, but it's just a non-public.
That's
So we
what I'm
only
saying.
need to look for someone for non-public.
Well, I think it becomes a nightmare trying to have
Two people
doing the job, and we don't know
Same
when
day.
we're gonna go into non-public. That recording secretary could be sitting over there in a chair, and we're paying her for it, or him. So I think we need to talk about that. Any other public
Melissa
input?
has a question, and Henry.
Yeah, Henry, go ahead.
Oh, mine's short. When you were talking about the wood splitting or log cutting
Yeah,
machine, and you said it's a 5-year payoff, I mean, roughly speaking.
yeah.
I mean, when you're trying to present this, the way I figure this is that the existing machine, so many man-hours to process 1 cord of wood. The new
Right.
machine should be less man-hours, so your
Yes.
profit
Yes,
goes up?
definitely.
Right, all right, will that increase the profit?
Yep.
I mean, it could be 5% of your total. That's a 5% return on your investment. I mean, if you're trying to sell this to the delegation, is really trying to figure out what your return on investment is.
Yeah.
So if you're increasing profit with a $50,000 machine by $5,000 a year, your profit goes up that much. You've
That's
got a
right.
10% return on your investment, plus the payoff is 5 years. So, I mean, I'll just give you this as a reminder, but pass it on to Will. because that's, if you're trying to sell something to somebody, return on investment is a pretty, I mean, I don't,
Yeah.
those numbers may not be right, I'm just saying, think about it that way.
I think one of the issues that they have is that piece of equipment is not used every day, all year long. It's used when...
It is a snowplow, I mean...
Well, that's true. I mean, I understand the issue, but we can't get it through to the others that...
Yeah, but it's what it generates in a given year.
That's right.
Right? If it takes
That's
less
right.
people to operate, they might be able to operate it more, but anyways, that's
Yeah.
enough said. Thank you.
It definitely cuts the manpower down.
Well, that's...
We can take log length right now, we're having to cut it up in the 4-foot lengths and
Right.
putting it through. And apparently this log processor can take bigger logs.
Right.
Before we had to, when we were buying it in, we had to tell the logger, we can only take up to 8 inches or whatever,
Right.
10 inches.
Yeah.
Because that's all the machine would take.
Yeah.
This other one would take a larger size, so it'd be a little easier
Yeah.
to
But if you
to
can
make
get
an
an
order.
anticipated increase in profits, that's what you're really looking for from your manager.
Yeah.
Is what that number is, because...
I think Mr. Babson or Commissioner Babson has, and a couple of delegation members on his subcommittee said that we can't run it as a business like we would like to run it as a business, because there's so many different things that that farm crew does. If something happens to the water system, they have to take care of that.
Oh, yeah.
If something happens, I don't know if they understand that. And so we don't use that machine, I don't know, maybe a month at the most, a year to do that amount of wood that we're doing.
Right.
We can't do more than that because, well, we only budget so much to bring in wood. And if we took it off our own property, we only can take so much off our property to make sure it's sustainable.
Yeah.
It's all done
I
by a
understand,
study.
yeah.
So I guess it's a question of whether the delegation would like to see revenue in the farm continue, or whether they would like to see us not get that revenue.
Yeah.
It just makes it, to me, the more efficient we can be, the better it is. And I see this as being more efficient. Yes, $65,000 is a lot of money to spend on a wood processor that we only use 1 month out of the year. Anybody in business probably wouldn't go for that. They'd have to make more use of it. But in our particular case, there's so many things that are going on with those 3 people that we have problems using it every day of the year.
And how do you put a price on keeping 4 or 5 inmates out there rather than sitting in their cells figuring out how they're gonna destroy the place next?
Yeah.
And hopefully they're learning to be responsible. I'm not so sure of that, but...
Well, there's probably an actuarial table someplace, you know.
All right, anybody else, public input? I'm sorry, Melissa, you had your hand up before. Go ahead.
As far as the recording of the non-public meeting minutes, why can't someone that already works here do it?
That's possible. That's possible.
It just seems like it's this
Yes, you're
silly.
the one for a county commissioner.
No.
Yeah, that is a good suggestion, a
It just
possibility.
seems
Yeah.
that, and if there was a conflict with that person, there could be a backup or two, and that could take the minutes if
Mm-hmm, yeah.
something was going on, that maybe that
Yeah.
person shouldn't be involved in the meeting, or, I don't know. Go ahead, Maureen.
That's a good point, thank you.
About the ranking system for the jail, are you gonna
Right, well,
finish, are you gonna do that today? Finish that? And I had another question, because it doesn't involve money yet, or it may never, why do the commissioners have to approve it?
approve,
The ranking system policy? How does it even fall
Well-
under your purview right now?
no, that's not a bad question.
Just,
And it doesn't pertain to the union either.
right. It
But
seemed like
when
it was
is it
more of a
re-
courtesy that Jason brought it forward, but do you really need to do anything with it? Maybe you just are aware of it, and they do what they need to do over there, and
Yeah.
life goes on, but I don't know. Seems like you have a lot on your plate, and there's, from time to time, little things that you give a lot of energy to, but are they
Mhm.
really your
Yeah.
control, or not your control, but your concern.
Yeah. I guess ultimately, we're responsible for the jail.
Sure.
Yes, I do agree that it was brought to us. Yes, we could go along with what they recommended, but they came here wanting our input, and so that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep. So are you going to make a decision today, like you said, or?
We've got 10 more pages to do here.
Yeah.
Then we get lunch, and then we get interviews.
Right. I don't think it has to be done this week. I mean, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. And I'm sorry I lost my all the things I worked on this weekend. And we got more pages of our handbook to do. And then we got interviews this afternoon for filling that position downstairs. So I don't think we'll take action on it today.
Maybe you could
If
go
that's
to...
agreeable to the board.
I think the commissioner should, yeah, it's agreeable, we don't have to take action today. But I think if it is a policy in the jail that the commissioners do need to approve it, because the commissioners also approve the policy handbook, the big policy handbook of the jail that came to us. And I don't know if they want to add it to that handbook. And we approved all of it, so I don't see why we don't have to approve this one. I think we need to look through it and discuss it and approve it or not.
I think it's good cooperation. I'm glad they brought it to us. Somebody like you in a newspaper business would say, what's going on over, did you know that was happening? Did you approve that? You know, that's what happens with newspaper people.
That'd be the other side of the sheet of paper.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to stereotype.
Okay.
I had one last question.
Go ahead.
I'm getting ready for Friday's delegation meeting, so I've been looking over the budget and trying to think of questions I might have for the delegation. And in doing so, I was wondering about legal fees.
Yes.
Can you help me understand why if an employee of the county files a grievance against the commissioners,
Yeah.
why the legal fees used to investigate that are taking out of the department that they work for and not the commissioner's budget?
Either way, the taxpayers would pay for it, whether it came out of ours or out of theirs. I think it's identified out of the different departments where it comes from, of what it involves.
Okay.
And let me say this, that there's a mixture of how investigations are done. And to be honest with you, I don't know why Primex takes some and doesn't take some others. I know if it goes to the labor board, Primex will take it. That's what happened with the Woodburn case. Also with the Sally Struble case. They took it, they hired the attorney, and they paid the bill. The one that was just completed last week, which was, there were 3 questions asked, that one will be paid by the county.
On that, are you releasing something? Are
What's
you
that?
releasing that this week?
We are going to get in I have to get, in order for me to contact an attorney, I have to get another member of the board to do that. Hopefully we'll do that today, and hopefully if all parties can get together, we'll try to handle that on Friday. My understanding in meeting with that attorney that he's writing it up so that the commissioners may release the summary of that. But that's still up to us to do. But that's the closest possibility that I see that could be released. But it depends on how he handles it.
Thank you.
Okay? In that particular case, it wasn't a very long investigation, so it shouldn't cost us very much.
So can I just go back quickly? You said that Primex takes some, but they don't take others.
Yeah.
So on the ones that Primex doesn't take, if I'm an employee at the nursing home and I feel that I need to file a grievance against the commissioner, I've exhausted all my steps, But I'm sitting over there and thinking, if I file this grievance, it's going to come out of the nursing home budget, and we're not going to get all the bed lifts we need this year, because that just puts people who may have legitimate grievances in a really awkward position, I think. Or maybe, does that make sense to you at all? Or
No.
the jail can't get security cameras because somebody that works there filed a grievance, and they spent all the money.
First of all,
I don't-
hopefully they budgeted it so that the legal fees come out of the legal category and not out of lifts.
Well, they overspend it, it's gotta come from somewhere.
Well, then, if it's over $1,000, they've gotta come here to get the approval.
Right, but why?
The
And like
question
Jason-
is a good one, where ultimately is it, whose budget is it, to whom are the charges levied, and,
I don't think it gives us an accurate picture of what's going on with legal. You talked about how IT is split up amongst the departments, and that's another case too, where you really have no accurate sense of what's being spent on what as far as legal goes.
Well, under that
If it's
legal,
something that is generated out of the commissioner's office, it seems it should show in the commissioner's budget. It's not something that the jail superintendent could have anticipated what his staff would do. Maybe he puts money in there.
Nobody
for-
could.
If the inmates file a suit, that makes sense, that would come out of the jail's legal budget, right?
why wouldn't it be fair to split it amongst both of them? You have a grievance from one department against the commissioners, and why not split it?
I don't know. I don't know how it is now, because I
You're
haven't.
not happy with the IT, so why would splitting it amongst the two be okay?
I'm fine with the IT.
You just said you weren't.
I just said that's another case where something is spread out, and you can't really get a good picture of what's spent,
Well,
where.
the departments all have a legal line. It's like the nursing home, they have a legal line too. You have the nursing home as example, so I think if they file a grievance there, it comes from the legal line, nursing home budget.
But we were told that that's mainly for union negotiations, but that's not true. Not completely true.
Well, there was a
That
grievance
all
there.
the grievance money is coming out of there too, or at least it's split, so the departments are having to pick that up as well.
I guess that's something that we could look into. But you're right, the legal line item in those three departments, of jail, nursing home, and sheriff, is based on union meetings. Now, if there's enough money in those accounts, we don't know. We have to be flexible. If the union decides or wants to have a one-year contract, then each year we're going to have money taken out of that legal line item. If we can get a 3-year contract, it's going to save the county a lot of dollars because of negotiations that goes into it. So, you raise a good question. I guess my concern is, in some cases, Primex will take the case, in other cases they won't. I know if it goes further than the county, they will defend the county. We do pay a fee for that insurance, whether we use it or not. And in those two cases that I mentioned, they picked it up, they hired the attorney. Okay, go ahead.
With this latest complaint that was just settled, could you say how much the legal line was and how much the damages to the employee were? You said it wouldn't be very expensive.
I think
The last one, David, there were no costs. It was a legal cost, but there were no damages.
No, that's right, there were no damages. It was really a clarification of
Of the law.
Of the law, thank you. So there was no damages as such. It was more clarification.
So was it a conflict or was it just a question both parties had?
About what?
About the law. One side thought one thing and the other side thought another.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there are legal expenses attached to that.
Yeah.
No settlement.
And we'll get the information Friday? Possibly.
I don't know. You won't get it Friday unless everybody can meet together on Friday, and we would release it the following week if that's something we want to do.
Okay, was there any allegation?
It's not a big deal.
Okay.
Like some of these others.
The employee just asked 3 questions, or questioned 3 different things, and an attorney just wrote it up, the answers, that's all.
Because it involved us, that's the way it was handled. If it was involving somebody else, we could have made that decision.
So the nature of it wasn't of an accusation, it was more of a question.
It was a complaint.
We have different, well, we have different complaints, but this one was, there is also another active one going on, but this one was questions.
Yeah, let's not have any more comments.
And
I told you what the plans are. If we can get the attorney to meet on Friday afternoon.
The attorney's coming?
I don't know yet. I haven't got permission from the board to call him.
And do we get a bill?
Not yet.
We didn't receive any bill?
Not
Oh,
yet.
okay.
Well, he's not finished.
He's not finished?
He wants to meet with all parties concerned. And that's what we need to talk with him about, whether we want to do that or not.
I'll move that we allow the chairman to call and set up an appointment with the lawyer so that we can discuss the complaint with all parties concerned.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I just want to know, is it a conference call or is he coming here at a county?
I will ask him when I call him, but there would be 4, 5, 6 people involved in this. I think it's better to have him come in this particular case, but I'll second the motion.
I don't understand. I need to have some more details. So he's coming in the county at a conference call for what? To talk to us about what he sent, the paperwork?
Right. That
Isn't it not clear? What does he have to explain to us?
Well, it's not only us. We understand it.
But we read it. I mean, he doesn't have to call us to explain anything.
Okay, the motion's on the floor to allow the chairman to call the attorney and set up a meeting. Any further discussion?
And set up a meeting for what? To explain to us what he wrote?
Not only us. I think we understand it. It's the other people involved that may not understand it, and they haven't seen the report.
Well, I think that we need to write something up and send it then to the employee, because I think let the attorney come here again and call, that costs more money. I mean, if we send them up what we know, or if he's coming to explain, I don't see any difference.
Move the question, Mr. Chairman.
The question is to allow the chairman, commissioner, to contact the attorney and arrange for a setup to all parties meet to discuss the final outcome of this complaint. All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
I oppose.
Okay, then so voted. Okay. Any other public input? Ed, you, okay, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to know, is it possible we could take like a minute before you go into the work session? So there's a clear, because after 150 minutes, I have to create another disk, so it would be good to have a clear 1 minute separation.
Sounds like a personal problem. You don't have a backup. Okay.
It's up to you.
Yeah, we'll do that. All right, seeing no other public input, we will recess for 5 minutes, and then we'll get back into talking about our handbook, our reference manual for all the employees that are here. Hopefully we can get through that next section. So we'll recess for at least 5 minutes.